right, people. Let me shift to the next topic. This conversation is going to annoy some New Orleans Saints fans, and that's perfectly fine because I get on here to tell the truth. I get on here to tell you what you guys need to hear. I'm not supposed to be the nice guy. I'm supposed to be Dr. Jemima McKinney that gives you guys the medicine that you need. And I'm sorry, Saints fans, but I gotta say it. Drew Brees, as we speak today, in 2020, he's washed. And Drew Brees is no longer a top 10 quarterback. He's just not. Drew Brees is now a tier 3 quarterback. I've watched the last 3 playoff games that Drew Brees has played in, and while I see a solid decision maker, I see a guy that can still be efficient, I see a physically limited quarterback at this stage in Drew Brees' career. And by the way, this is not me bashing Drew Brees, because when I say Drew Brees is washed, you're not washed if you were never great in the first place. Drew Brees is arguably a top 5 quarterback of all time. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer, a slam dunk Hall of Famer, first ballot, no doubt about it. But at some point, all players fall off a cliff and all players get old. And Drew Brees, he's just one of those players that has fallen off a little bit and he's gotten old. And in the last 3 playoff games, Drew Brees has not played particularly well. He got lucky versus the Philadelphia Eagles in 2018. If Alshon Jeffrey catches that football, the Eagles probably win the game. He played poorly in the NFC title game versus the Rams, despite probably having a better roster at his disposal, despite playing at home. I don't care about the no call. I don't care about the pass interference, call that went down. I don't care about that. Drew Brees, I saw him in overtime choke away the game to the Los Angeles Rams, and last year in the playoffs was the final straw for me. I saw Drew Brees lose at home, being a heavy favorite. He lost to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins does not look good this year, and the Vikings, they had no business beating that Saints team last year. I said last season, heading into the playoffs, the Saints arguably had the best roster in the entire NFL. And Drew Brees, he played poorly. He let it go to waste. And we've seen when you get pressure on Drew Brees and you take away Michael Thomas and limit Alvin Kamara, the Saints don't go anywhere. They're not a viable football team. Drew Brees does not have a second or third punch at his disposal. He can't fit the ball in the tight windows anymore. He can't run around and make plays like he used to. He's not the same athlete he once was. He never was the greatest athlete, but now he can't move at all hardly. And Drew Brees has gotten old, and the game has passed him by. I watched Justin Herbert go against Drew Brees recently on Monday Night Football. Justin Herbert vastly outplayed Drew Brees in that game. Wasn't even close. Drew Brees was not the better quarterback on the field. And honestly, people, if the Saints don't have Taysom Hill on their roster for that Chargers game, they probably lose. Because Drew Brees, he can't run the football in the end zone like Taysom Hill did right there. He just can't do that. He's not the same athlete that Taysom Hill is. And by the way, the Saints should have lost that game because the Chargers just turned into the Chargers down the stretch. They missed the game-winning field goal. The rest is history. Drew Brees this season, he's gotten outplayed by Derek Carr. He's gotten outplayed by Aaron Rodgers. Even in the game that he won versus Tampa Bay, he only completed 60% of his passes. And I know a lot of people are going to say, look at the statistics. The statistics show that Drew Brees is still a great quarterback. That's fool's gold. That's wrong. Statistics are overrated, people. Because here's the thing. Last year, the top 5 leaders in passing yards, all 5 of them missed the playoffs. Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, and Matt Ryan. None of those quarterbacks were in the playoffs last year. If we are referring to statistics, then Daniel Jones might be a better quarterback than Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Jared Goff. You want to know why I say that? Because according to statistics, which you people say is everything, Daniel Jones had more touchdown passes last year than Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, and Josh Allen. We know that Daniel Jones is not better than any of those quarterbacks. Anyone with a brain knows that. I like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has some talent, but he's not better than those quarterbacks. Tom Brady played in 4 less games than Daniel Jones last year, and Daniel Jones on a bad Giants team had more touchdown passes than Tom Brady. But Tom Brady is still a better quarterback to this day than Daniel Jones. Statistics once again proven to be overrated. Jameis Winston, second in the NFL last year in touchdown passes. Where'd that get Jameis? Jameis right now is a backup quarterback, backing up the most overrated quarterback in football at the moment, Drew Brees. And yes, I'm saying Drew Brees is an overrated quarterback right now because Saints fans continue to tell me this guy is still great. He's still a top 10 quarterback, when in fact, both those statements are false. He's not great anymore. He's very good, but not great. And he's not a top 10 quarterback. Drew Brees used to be a top 10 quarterback, but that is no longer the case. What people have to understand about Drew Brees is that he plays in a stat-friendly offense. And by the way, he plays with a lot of good players. Michael Thomas, top 3 wide receiver in all football. Alvin Kamara, top 5 running back in all football. Sean Payton, he's scheming up open wide receivers. He's one of the best offensive minds in the entire NFL. In Sean Payton's offense last year, Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0. And Teddy Bridgewater threw 9 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions in those games. And by the way, Drew Brees' numbers are being inflated by screen passes. I was watching the Green Bay Packers play the New Orleans Saints, a couple weeks ago. And I saw Alvin Kamara catch a 3-yard pass that went for 65 yards for a touchdown. And Drew Brees did nothing but throw a 3-yard pass. Alvin Kamara did all the work, and Drew Brees' stats get rewarded because Alvin Kamara did the work for him. Alvin Kamara has bailed Drew Brees out time in and time out. And I'm not knocking Drew Brees for utilizing Alvin Kamara. I'm just saying, don't give me that Drew Brees' statistics are so good when in reality, they're being inflated by him not doing any real work to get those statistics. There's always a story behind the numbers. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, those guys are throwing the football in the tight windows down the field. Drew Brees, he's dinking and dunking, throwing a bunch of short passes and hitting open wide receivers. I'm not impressed. A lot of quarterbacks could do that. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm convinced, can come into the Saints offense and look pretty good. And Drew Brees, he doesn't push the football down the field anymore. The Saints do not consistently push the football down the field because Drew Brees has a limited arm. Either Drew Brees consistently refuses to push the football down the field, or either he can't do it. I'm going to guess that Drew Brees just flat out can't do it because 5 years ago, no one was talking about Drew Brees' lack of arm strength. Now they are. And there's reasons why they are saying he has a lack of arm strength. It's because it's true, people. Drew Brees, at this stage in his career, has a very average arm. He doesn't like to push the football down the field. He can't avoid a sack. He is strictly a system quarterback. And if you put Drew Brees on another team with the average roster, like the Dolphins, he's not putting up these numbers that he's putting up right now. Okay, he's just not. He's not. And honestly, I look at some of these quarterbacks. I take Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Ben Roethlisberger, maybe Ryan Tannehill based on the way he's playing as of late. Ryan Tannehill's playing at a high level. He's making throws down the field that Drew Brees can't make. Derek Carr's playing better than Drew Brees this year. I might rather have Derek Carr over Drew Brees today. Kyler Murray's playing better. I potentially would take Dak Prescott over Drew Brees. I mean, Dak Prescott, he did throw for nearly 5,000 yards last year. He's throwing the football down the field. I mean, Drew Brees, he's not making some of the throws that Dak Prescott is making. Dak Prescott's a better athlete. Dak Prescott's younger. And honestly, to keep it $150 with you, the playoff success is pretty identical the last 3 seasons just because both only have 1 playoff win in the last 3 years. Carson Wentz, to me, is better than Drew Brees right now. I'd rather have Joe Burrow right now probably than Drew Brees. I'd rather have Jared Goff probably rather than Drew Brees right now. I'd probably rather have Matthew Stafford too because Matthew Stafford has one of the 5 best arms in the NFL. He's just being wasted by the Lions once again. So I just counted off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 16 quarterbacks I said I would definitively take over Drew Brees or maybe take over Drew Brees. I would maybe take Tannehill. I would maybe take Carr. I would maybe take Dak. I would maybe take Burrow. I would maybe take Jared Goff. The other guys, 100% I'm taking over Drew Brees right now. Because Drew Brees, he's just not the same guy. He's a tier 3 quarterback right now. He's not pushing the football down the field. He's physically limited. And he's not the same guy he used to be. Drew Brees is washed. Drew Brees is overrated. And Drew Brees is no longer a top 10 quarterback as we speak today in 2020. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.